candidates, you've got to separate the Democrats from the Republicans. On the Democrat side, although there were 10, for all practical purposes, there's now two and a half candidates. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, John Edwards. John Edwards in a distant third, and he will disappear within a month. The other two, if you believe the polls, are more or less equal. Some days Hillary's a little ahead, some days Barack is a little bit ahead, but more or less equal in terms of their popularity, at least within the Democratic Party. On the Republican side, it's much more confused. There are today still maybe 5 candidates who have a real chance at the nomination. And today, it's hard to say that any one of them has a big advantage over any other one of them. Rudy Giuliani, John McCain, Mitt Romney, Mike Huckabee.
Who's in the head?
Nobody's in the head. Because this is a very long, drawn-out process. You've got to understand that the United States has had a year of campaigning so far. But until yesterday, until Tuesday of this week, there was not a single vote cast. So we started with caucuses in Iowa last week, which is sort of like voting, but not really. Voting in New Hampshire this week. Next week, voting in Michigan and Nevada. The following week, the last week of the month, voting in Florida. Then in February, other states start to vote. So this is a process that is drawn out over a course of many, many months. The actual election is not until November. We probably will have a Democratic candidate and a Republican candidate maybe March, maybe April, but not officially until the summertime. Both parties have conventions. Those conventions are during the summer. And then the formal election process, the formal campaign process, actually starts in September. So this is a very long, drawn-out, very, very, very expensive process. All of that said, who's ahead? Any Democrat is in a better position than any Republican. So whether the candidate eventually is Mrs. Clinton, Mr. Obama, either of them are likely to be the next president. But that's why we have the election. We won't know until November. Hillary Clinton is essentially arguing, I have the experience to be president. Why do I have the experience? I've been a senator for 8 years, and I was married to Bill Clinton. Now, I have a hard time why being married to somebody makes you the next president, but she does have a lot of experience. She's a very smart woman. She clearly understands a lot of the important issues of the country, and she's been tested a little bit. Certainly, she's gone through some very, very difficult periods in her life and in the public. I don't think Hillary's problem is that they're tired of Clintons. The Clinton fatigue, I don't think, is the big factor. Because they see her increasingly as a person herself.
She's different than his...
Oh, she's very different from Bill Clinton. She's very different from Bill Clinton. In fact, the mistake she made in some of the campaigning was not to let herself be as different as she is. So, for example, tactics. Her campaign manager worked for her husband. Her chief fundraiser worked for her husband. And what started to happen in the last weeks is she's beginning to find her own voice. It's not that she isn't still a Clinton, but she's becoming less Clinton and more Hillary. She will not be president if it's Clinton. She'll be president if it's Hillary. And I think that's a really important difference. People aren't voting to get Bill back in office. If they're going to vote for her, they're going to vote for her. She, as a woman leader, as somebody who understands the issues really quite profoundly, who studied them quite well. Personally, I hope she loses. That's a different issue. But I'm positive that if she campaigns as a Clinton, even look at her buttons. Her buttons don't say Clinton, they say Hillary. Almost no one in the United States is asking that question anymore. They're not saying, oh, she's a woman, could she be elected now? That is a very Mexican question. All of my Mexican friends are saying, can you really imagine that a woman can be president of the United States? And the answer is, yeah, because it's no longer an issue. Maybe it's because Hillary isn't, when you think of Hillary Clinton, I'm going to be polite. When you think of Hillary Clinton, the first thing you think of is not she's a woman. It's on the list of things, but it's not first. It's not even second or third or fourth or fifth. She's a woman, yes, but it's not. It's a bit like Maggie Thatcher. Maggie Thatcher was tougher than any man I have ever met in my life. And Hillary is much more like Maggie Thatcher than she is like you, Annabelle, quite frankly. So it's not like you're voting for Cheryl Tiegs. I mean, this is not somebody whose feminist is the overwhelming element. Last week, one of the big political events was that Hillary cried.
Yeah.
Only in America would that be a big political event. Big debate among political analysts today is, did it help her or hurt her? It helped her if it showed she was human. She's really not that tough. She really has a heart and a soul, and hence, that's good. Or, oh my God, we need somebody who's tough, who's ready to go to war, who can control the nuclear weapons, control the generals, and if you cry, you can't do that. At the moment, the fact this one's winning, the fact that she looked human, that she showed emotion, that she wasn't just tough, people are saying is why she won, one of the main reasons she won the vote in New Hampshire.